Brian, you're correct in the observation that we are at a tipping point, if you will, and we've been there for some time. Um, the move towards renewables, green energy, is an admirable move. The state of Texas, while I was the governor there, we made the decision to have a more diverse portfolio. We had pretty much only gas and coal powered plants. Gas had hit $14 an MCF back in the early 2000s. And we made the decision to look at the expansion of wind so that we would have a more diversified portfolio. That was the right thing to do at that particular point in time. What has happened in all too many places, and particularly in Europe, in my opinion, the UK, is that there's been substantially a move away from fossil fuels because of the green environmental movement that has basically said fossil fuels are bad, notwithstanding that liquefied natural gas and nuclear power have some of the lowest emissions that there are out there. America lowered our emissions back over the course of the last decade. The same thing could be happening across the world if liquefied natural gas, of which America has a 100-year supply, would be put into place. So I think the lack of diversity is what's happened. This move to go to all renewable, and there's some great plays there, but you got to be smart about it. And I think all too often there's just been this march towards the left, from my perspective, on green energy that literally is putting people's lives in jeopardy. We'll talk about that a little bit later in your program. My bet is that if you line up some events, whether it's an extra cold winter, whether it's the breakdown of some of the machinery, whether it's the wind quitting blowing, you could literally see deaths occur because of bad policies that have been put in place by the European Union, by the UK. I hope that's not the case.
Well, it's not. And we spoke with an energy charity that said that families may have to make the decision between, as he said, quote, heating or eating. Yeah, the UK, no country relies on natural gas more than the UK to heat homes, and yet they have almost no long-term storage. They closed their main natural gas field and storage called Rough offshore in 2017. They thought no problem buying on the spot market. Now we're seeing spot prices in the US, $5.50 to $6. In the Dutch market or here, some 20, 25. We've even seen $30 in parts of here and Asia. How long do you think this is going to last? And, Mr. Secretary, how much power does this give Vladimir Putin over Europe right now?
Well, I made this statement over the course of the last 48 hours that I was asked about the price of crude because of the lack of supply. The Biden administration is sending clear messages to the fossil fuel industry. They don't like them. They are going to put policies into place, regulations into place. They're shutting down pipelines. So the crude market is really being restricted. And I don't think it's out of the ordinary. I think we're $82, $83 today. In 6 months, you could see $100 crude prices globally, and that will really bust a lot of budgets as we go forward.
Yeah, in fact, Bank of America's got a 120 Brent crude target, I think, in early spring. But I want to go back to something you and I have spoken about in the past, which is this Nord Stream 2. It's a second pipeline from Russia to Germany. There's a lot of still political fighting over this. You've got a new administration coming in Germany with the renewables sort of having trouble with the wind. Literally, the wind did not blow as much as expected in parts of Italy and in England. And this sort of desperate rush for gas and even coal, Putin has got to be loving this. He's got to be in a position where he can now dictate the terms, can he not?
Well, let me back up just a little bit. One of the things that we worked on substantially as my tenure as the Secretary of Energy at the direction of President Trump was to sell American LNG into Europe. The Polish government was very open to that. They understood the importance of that. The Baltic states, Ukraine, all of those countries, very, very open, as well as Romania. I think I traveled to 15 European countries while I was the Secretary of Energy, talking to them about not only LNG, but about nuclear power and battery storage, some of the technologies that we were working on. But the point is, without substantial liquefied natural gas coming from non-Russian sources, and I say non-Russian sources because there's already a record of Putin shutting down the gas supply to places that he wants to put a political finger on, so to speak, to get them to do certain things. That is the reason that President Trump was very strong against the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We had stopped it. We did not think it's a good idea. I think the bulk of Europe did not think it was a good idea for Russia to be able to control that energy all through the European continent. So when the Biden administration came in, one of the first things they did, shut down a pipeline in the United States, the Keystone, open up a pipeline in northern through the Baltic Sea there, the Russian gas. I mean, it just didn't make any policy sense at all. Oh, and I might add, at the same time this is going on, you've got John Kerry jetting around the world, lecturing countries all across the European continent and otherwise that they need to quit using fossil fuels. I mean, there's just no consistency here in this administration, and Europe could be the ones that really pay the heavy price.